The final step to get your sculpture ready to be 3D printed is to put it into something called MakerWare. MakerWare is the software that actually gives the instructions to the 3D printer on how to print. So if you don't have MakerWare installed, you can search for MakerWare in your Spotlight, and it looks like this. It has this M and W logo. If you don't have it installed, you're going to need to go to the website and download it because it hasn't been installed on your computer yet. Once you've opened it, it's going to have this window. The Replicator 2 is the name of the printer we're using. So we're just going to say, let's get started. And what I want to do is click Add. And I'm going to add my OBJ file that I exported from Blender. So it's going to take a moment here to search. And then I need to go find where I saved it. It should be in my documents. Yeah, my creature final. That was the one that I did. And so it says scale up object. This object seems very small. It may have been designed in inches. Would you like to scale it to millimeters? And so I'm going to say rescale object. And it's also going to ask me put object on platform. And we want to make sure the object is on the platform. So I'm going to click move to platform. Okay, so you'll notice that right now my object is actually he's facing the wrong way. So we're looking at it as if this is the 3D printer box, right? This is the build plate down here, this is the container. So I need to rotate this. So in order to do that, I'm going to go over to my tools over here, and I'm going to click on the turn tool. And if I click on it twice, then what will happen is I will get the ability to change the rotation by typing in a value. So for instance, I might go to Y and type in 90 degrees. Okay, so that just flipped it over. So I'm going to do my X value, 90 degrees. Okay, so now I've got him facing upward, and maybe just for fun, I'll make him face forward. Oh, I need to do 180 on that one. You'll figure this out very quickly. This is very, very simple software. There we go. Okay, so that's good, but now you'll notice that he actually went down below the build plate again. Or the platform they call it. So I'm going to go back to move, and I'm going to click on platform, and I'm going to also click center. So that makes sure that it's exactly on the build plate and that it's centered inside of the space. The last thing we need to do is look at the scale. That's the size of your object. So I'm going to click on scale, and you'll notice that the measurement is in millimeters. Millimeters, I'm not super comfortable with millimeters, but I do know after having looked at and compared that I don't want your sculptures to be more than 50 millimeters tall. So I'm going to type in 50 for the X value. And what that did was it made everything, it adjusted everything so that it's to scale. So that will make it a reasonable size so it will print pretty quickly. I'm going to go back to move just to make sure it's on the platform. It looks like it is. And then I think we're good to go. So I can look at it, I can zoom in, scroll, and I can also click and drag. Oops, don't want to do that. So looks good. So what I'm going to click is I'm going to click the Make button. It's a big M. And it's going to export to a file. And we're exporting it for the Replicator 2. That's the printer we have. I would turn off the raft and ignore the supports, and then click under Advanced Options. It pulls down this menu. You don't need to mess with any of these settings. The only thing I want you to do is check Preview before printing. Then you click Export. This is going to take a couple minutes probably. Notice in the corner here it's saying Slice. Mine's humming along pretty rapidly here, so I'm going to just hang out for a second. I want to wait until the preview pops up. So it sliced it, and then this is a preview, a print preview of my material. It tells me the print time, approximately about 40 minutes, the material use, about 7 grams, that's the weight of the material, the filament it's using. And if I zoom in on this, I can look at it and how it's going to be printed. I can check to see if there's any weird glitches, anything like that. And I can also look at it as it's being printed. This is the direction. It actually shows you like a little preview, and you can see the honeycomb pattern in there. can view it from the top, so that lets me look at it this way. And so if I'm happy with this, then I'm going to click export. And then it's going to ask you where you want to save it. It's going to save something called an X3G file. This is the file that the printer actually uses, and it defaults to your things folder. That's a folder that's installed once you have the MakerWare software. However, I recommend that you move it to your documents so that you know where it's saved. So I'm going to hit save. And again, this might take a minute or two. It's verifying right now. Notice the processing here. Some models will take longer depending on how complex they are. And now it's printing to file. These are all normal processes that it does. You'll notice that my sculpture has now disappeared. It's no longer in the window. That's because it's processed it, so it's disappeared. So I can go ahead and close the MakerWare software, and it's going to ask you to save changes. I'm going to close without saving. And then what I'm going to do is just go to my Finder to check and make sure that it's actually in my documents, the X3G file. There it is, documents X3G. This is the actual file that you're going to submit for 3D printing.